I see we do have a quorum present, and we'll ask Councilor Carolina to give us the invocation and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, we come today asking for guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting and enter into this holy season recognizing the birth of your Son, Jesus Christ. Allow us to continue to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of our community and districts. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that will affect the citizens, businesses, environment, and the future of Georgetown County. Put within us a revitalized energy of progress as we move into the new year. Continue to remind us that all we do as stewards over the land is for the greater glory of you and the service of humanity in Georgetown County. We pray for peace and blessings in all your holy name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
Thank you, Councilor Carolina. Just in case we don't get the opportunity to say it again tonight, happy holiday to all of you, and thank you all for being here. We move on down to the approval of our agenda. Is there a motion to approve the meeting agenda as published?
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilor Carolina for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Oppose? Motion carries. We go down to our special reports and presentations. Our nonprofit spotlight, Coastal Conservation League. Becky Ryan. Ms. Becky Ryan. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Becky Ryan. I'm the North Coast Office Director with the Coastal Conservation League. Thank you for allowing me the chance to introduce the Conservation League and the work that we do here in Georgetown County. Next slide, please. The Coastal Conservation League is an environmental advocacy nonprofit dedicated to protecting the health of the natural resources of the coastal plain and ensuring a high quality of life for all. Since 1989, the Coastal Conservation League has worked with communities, businesses, citizen groups, and residents to protect what we love about South Carolina. From sandy beaches, healthy marshes, freshwater swamps, to pine savannas, we protect natural habitats and the wildlife that depend on them. We support the communities we live in by ensuring we have clean air to breathe, fresh water to drink, and sustainable energy to power our homes and places of work. Most of all, we strive to ensure that future generations will be able to enjoy the same spaces and quality of life that we do today. Our vision is a future in which we strive for common ground and the balance of nature and development. Next slide, please. Our work is divided into the following program areas: land, water, and wildlife, communities and transportation, energy, and Grow Food Carolina, the state's first local food hub. Grow Food provides local farmers the sales, marketing, logistics, warehousing, and distribution functions they need and that previously have been available only to large-scale industrial farms. Wholesale customers range from restaurants all over the region to Harris Teeter, Whole Foods, Earth Fare, and the Pawleys Island General Store. Since its opening, Grow Food has returned almost $5.5 million to farmers. My colleague, Trapper Fowler, and I represent the North Coast. We define the North Coast as Georgetown, Horry, Marion, Florence, and Williamsburg counties, and we go inland as needed. Our office is at the Coastal Carolina University's Coastal Science Center in Conway. Next slide. We provide local residents, community groups, and elected officials with technical and professional assistance to help preserve the lands and communities we love. We strive to take a science-based approach to policy recommendations and do our best to keep an eye on permit applications, legislation, rezonings, and more. Next slide, please. We are not anti-development. We want a future that includes smart, sustainable, economic growth that maximizes the potential of our community. This future ensures the availability of natural resources and opportunity for our children to enjoy those resources. This future has good policies and protections in place, so we do more than fight an endless series of battles against an endless series of threats. Next slide, please. You've seen me at many Planning Commission, County Council, and even GSAT's meetings, because the decisions made at the local level have the biggest day-to-day impact on our communities. That's why it's so important to put thoughtful plans in place through the comprehensive plan, setting the course for at least the next 10 years in Georgetown County. Next, please. This year, we have submitted comments and attended public hearings for every draft of the natural resource and resilience elements and participated in conservation stakeholders meetings for the land use element. Within our comments, we've asked Georgetown County to adopt goals to encourage land conservation, wetland protections, walkable communities, and a reduction of single-use plastics. Next, please. At the end of August, the Conservation League hosted a workshop focused on land use and smarter growth issues for Georgetown and Horry residents, with the primary focus to prepare community members for Georgetown's land use public meetings that began in September. We had two speakers, Lauren Kelly, an architect and urban planner from Beaufort, and Lyles Cooper, executive director of the PD Land Trust, who spoke on examples of land conservation initiatives in South Carolina and Florida. The Conservation League is working alongside partners to introduce the concept and pathways to publicly funded land programs in the North Coast. We are working to identify what county or counties are interested and make the most sense for a land conservation campaign ahead of 2024 ballot referenda. A publicly funded land conservation program could help provide resiliency, wildlife corridor connections, recreation, and bike and pedestrian infrastructure. We often have concerned community members come to us about issues in the community, such as the loss of grand oaks. The Conservation League has worked alongside residents to advocate for a stronger tree ordinance and supply county staff with recommendations from other counties and municipalities. We have also worked on renewable energy projects in the area to advocate for best management practices for solar habitat and to encourage the avoidance of wetlands, such as this site in Lambertown. Clean air and clean water are essential to the health and quality of life for people and wildlife in South Carolina. The natural beauty of Georgetown is what brought so many of us here and why we choose to stay. Now for the part where we get to get dirty, get our get our hands dirty. We love to do events where we are doing paddles or nature walks or trail work days or getting stuck in the pluff mud. We often work with DNR for manufactured wire reef builds to prepare for oyster reef restoration, like this. This was one that we did in Murrells Inlet 2 years ago. And we hope to do another one, a manufactured wired reef build this winter, and then another oyster build in April. So please keep an eye out for that, and please join us if you're available. And finally, we have been honored to host 2 summer interns from the Georgetown RISE program the last couple of years. Last year, our intern worked on a voluntary plastics reduction campaign and led a beach cleanup in Pawleys Island. And we've also done litter sweeps in Andrews and hope to do more again this coming year. So thank you so much for your time, and please don't hesitate to reach out if I can ever be of assistance.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. Any comments from council?
Yes, sir. I have a comment. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
You know, we're polarized on all this stuff, and we got to try to stay in the middle. So you keep up the good work.
Absolutely.
Thank
I
you.
think we can find common ground. Everybody wants clean air and clean water.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We move on to our recognition, 2023 Holiday Art Contest winners. Mr. Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council. As you know, every year we partner with the Georgetown County School District, and we send out invitations to all the art teachers in the county to have their students participate in designing the county's annual holiday card. This year we have 3 great students who have placed. We wish we could award everybody, obviously, but we have to pick 3, and this year we've got 3 great ones for you. We're going to call each one up individually, and then we'll have them take a group photo at the end. To start, in 3rd place this year from Waccamaw Intermediate School, we have Miss Mary Hope McGann. Her teacher is Christy Weaver. Her design was a pickup truck with a Christmas tree in the back, and it's really great. We're going to show that on the screen in just a second for you, and we'll take a picture with her. If her family would like to join her for the picture as well, they're welcome to do that. Appreciate your patience pulling double duty here a little bit tonight. Next up, we have in 2nd place this year, Miss Emmeline Jane Lee from Coastal Montessori Charter School. Her teacher is Natalie Pantuso, and her design, if I can get the PowerPoint to change, maybe. I'll change it in just a second. Her design is a Happy Holidays tropical theme, and a certain Santa Claus is flying by in the background. If you'd like to come on up and have your picture taken.
Too fast.
All right, and in first place this year, we have from Waccamaw Middle School, Miss Gabriella Morris. Her teacher, I believe, is also here, Miss Katie Grauke. Her design, as you will see right here, is a very nice little holiday cottage. Got presents and wreaths and trees coming out of the fireplace as you're dreaming of the holidays. Nice snowman outside, nice warm, inviting fireplace on the inside. This one scored very highly in our judging. And I think you can see why we chose this to be our holiday card this year. And if her family would like to join her for the photograph and her teacher as well, we'd appreciate it. And Mr. Chairman, if you would join us up front for the photograph with our three winners together.
I'll tell you what, can all council just stand and we be in the background?
Sure, that'd be great.
Oh, second.
And lastly, Mr. Chairman, we just wanted to point out that each winner did receive a gift card courtesy of Georgetown County. Our second and third place winners got a $25 Walmart gift card this year, and our first place winner got a $50 Walmart gift card. And to all of the teachers in Georgetown County School District, please be on the lookout. We'll start next year's contest a little bit earlier due to the change in the school district calendar. We'll start kicking it off around late August or so instead of early October. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ackers, and congratulations again to all of the students there. You all did a wonderful job with those drawings. Thank you for giving us another Christmas card for this year. Appreciate you. We move down to our award presentation with Georgetown County Finance, Mr. Ackerman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to give everybody a second or two. I think we got it. Mr. Chairman, it's my pleasure tonight to come before you and present our finance department with the Government Finance Officers Association's Award for Excellence in Financial Reporting. This is an award that is given each year to folks who go, quote unquote, above and beyond the requirements that are necessary in financial reporting. When our finance office sits down at the end of each year, goes over the books, wraps things up, does all the closing, they present an annual comprehensive financial report to county council. They submit that to the state, they submit it to the federal regulatory agencies, everybody who needs a financial report. They are required to produce a set of basic financial statements. They produce the comprehensive financial statements. This document, which you all get each year and read profusely, I know, is about 200 pages. A basic set of financial statements is about 60 pages. If that gives you an idea of the amount of additional work that they do to make sure that not only you, but county staff and all of the citizens, anybody who is interested in the finances of Georgetown County is as well informed as they possibly can be. There's a stringent set of requirements necessary to achieve this award, and this is not the first time they've done it, so hats off to them for continuing. I think the first time we have is 2017, and we've continued on about every year receiving that award. So at this time, I would ask that all the finance staff, our finance director and her staff are here, most of them are here anyway. I'd like for them to stand up and be recognized, and if we could get a nice photograph up front, and a big round of applause for all the extra work that they do. This may take a minute.
Got enough, let's make 2 rows, and yeah, Nancy and Fallon, maybe you stand down there with Camp Harris. Yeah.
We don't get it yet. It comes later.
Well, it's not gonna go
22.
up there.
This is 22.
Everybody step over this way if you're on the top row. Three, 1, 2, 3, look at me. One more, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right. Thanks again to our finance department for the tremendous work they continue to do. All part of Team Georgetown, so we appreciate you. Thank you. We move on down to our Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee. Ms. Langston.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, County Council. Included in your agenda packet is the state accommodations tax recommendations, and this is for calendar year 24 and fiscal year 25 award cycle. We went over these recommendations at the workshop that we had a couple of weeks ago, but if you have any questions regarding any of them, I'll attempt to answer them.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question. I'm looking down here at line item 11, the Obsolete Preservation Foundation. And it appears to me that on first pass, they had requested for that thriving tourist destination on the south side of the county. And other than Georgetown itself, the only one we have on the western side of the county. And we determined we were going to give them $25,000. That was what was on the line item at the last meeting.
That's what a tax committee recommended, yes, sir.
Pardon?
That is what the A-Tax Committee recommended,
Right,
yes, sir.
And so when we amended it, it's zeroed out.
I don't,
That's what I'm seeing here on this piece of paper.
I think what it is, the ATTRIBUTIONS committee is the recommendation is what is in our agenda. What you're looking at is the proposed revision. So she's presenting the recommendation from the ATTRIBUTIONS committee, and it's up to council to decide whether to change it or not.
Oh, okay, so we're gonna be debating again on what the numbers should be as we did at the workshop?
I don't know whether we're going to be debating or not, but she's just presenting her recommendations on behalf of the ATTRIBUTIONS. And once she presents a recommendation, we would either accept or reject those.
Okay, so this is, we're gonna be voting on the revision that we saw the last time.
No, we're going to be voting on the recommendations that being brought forward to us, brought forth to us from the ATTRIBUTIONS committee first.
Okay.
And then we may end up voting on that if we do not accept the recommendation.
Well, I'll just wait and see what happens. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Langston, council? Okay.
I've got a question from a procedural standpoint. If we want to approve what's on here, would I make a motion now to do that or wait?
I'll defer to my counselor here.
Follow your standard procedures. Well, it does call for a motion, a second, and a vote. So if you're referring to the amended proposed report of 12/12/23, then yes, you'd make a motion. If that's seconded, then vote, call for discussion, as you would any other.
Well, will there be any discussion of this again? Would we? Okay, so as for, I'd like to hear what Ms. Karras has to say in your recommendations, because I have questions concerning item number 1 and clarification on the 9550. What does that represent?
The 9550 is what the ATAX committee recommended that we give to County Fire EMS
For what?
for their water rescue program, the boat and all the equipment to go along with it. They requested $75,000 and the ATAX committee recommended that we give them $9,950.
To be used for what?
The equipment is my understanding.
What equipment?
It's a boat and the equipment that's required for the boat.
Yeah.
A what?
It was a boat and the equipment required for the boat.
No, the 9550. What is that allocated for?
My understanding was that was for the equipment, but not the boat.
What equipment?
I think we went
Going
over.
back to what equipment? Sonar equipment? What equipment?
Life jackets.
May we first hear the report?
Sure.
It says it's personal flotation devices, water rescue helmets, throw ropes, and side scan sonar device. That's what the 95,000 is, or 99.
Sonar device?
A sonar device, yeah. Side scan sonar device.
Do they have a boat?
They
How they
do
going
not
to use
have
the
a boat.
sonar?
They don't have a boat yet.
So the sonar is to be used on the boat?
When they get it.
Okay, any other questions for Ms. Langston?
Yes, I've got a question again. Going back to line item 1, which is Georgetown County Fire EMS, I'm just using this as an example. Funds requested were $75,000. Available funds received were $9,950. And then there's an amended report proposed for 12/12/23. It's gone back to the requested amount, which was $75,000. So is that the number we're going to be voting on?
If I can make a motion, from a procedural standpoint, but if I can move to approve the committee's recommendations as revised to include the funding outlined on the revised report that was provided to council.
Thank you. We have a motion from Ms. Mercado. Is there a
Question?
second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Elliott. Any discussion?
Now we discuss.
Now it's your discussion.
Pardon?
We're in the discussion now.
Okay, go ahead. Are you ready for me to discuss?
Yes.
Okay, so
We're not on
are
the,
we voting on this document that I'm looking at that's got the yellow out here in the right-hand column?
that's correct.
Okay. All right.
So any discussion regarding the revised proposals for ATAX expenditures? Okay,
So item number 11, regarding Hopsweed. The area I'm looking at is blank, so there's no money allocated to the Hopsweed project.
From the revised recommendation, that is correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Rationale, reason?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make an amendment to this and revise item number 11 from $0 to $25,000.
If that, well, we can do it in the discussion, but if that revision is made, then you're looking at having to subtract from other expenditures.
I understand that.
We have a motion from Councilor Anderson,
Second.
second by Councilor Carolina. Any discussion? We first vote on the revised motion from Councilor Anderson. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion dies. We'll go back to the original motion made by Councilor Mercado. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries 5-2. Let's move on. Thank you. We move on down to public comments. A public comment period is included on each meeting agenda and shall be limited to 30 minutes. Each speaker will be limited to no more than 3 minutes. No speaker may yield his/her allotted time to another speaker. Members of the public who wish to address council during the public input period should sign up with the clerk of council before the meeting is called to order. We ask that you adhere to the time limit that is going to be given by the clerk. You pay attention to the screen to see when your time expires, and we ask to conclude your comments promptly. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone sign up for public comments this evening?
Mr. Chairman, we do have 17 speakers signed up tonight. So each speaker will have up to 2 minutes, and our first speaker will be Chris Spigner.
Hi, I'm Chris Spigner. I'm here to support Georgetown County tourism by amending the boat ordinance to allow larger commercial boats to utilize the Carroll Campbell Landing. I'd like to address some of the council's concerns. The city of Georgetown has dismissed all nuisance charges against Rover Tours, who never was a nuisance at any time while using the East Bay Park public boat landing. Council also did a little research on our neighboring counties of Charleston and Horry. They do not allow commercial boating, but we knew that. They do not enforce, just like we had done in the past. They just look the other way. We have done the research. Here in Georgetown County, for example, there are currently 97 commercial charter boats registered to pick up at the Murrells Inlet Public Landing. What is the problem with allowing the larger commercial boats to utilize Carroll Campbell when they have the infrastructure to support them? Georgetown County is also unique compared to those counties. Our number of boat landings far outnumber those counties. We have Winyah Bay, the third largest estuary on the East Coast, along with multiple waterways that spill into our pristine Winyah Bay. It is of the utmost importance that we preserve our waterways through nature-based tourism and education provided by our larger boats for larger families and groups. And last, but the most important part, did you really do your research in this last month since it's been deferred? Did you actually talk to DNR that oversees our Yawkey Wildlife Center? How about Hobcob Barony? How about the Winyah Rivers Alliance, the Environmental Law Group? How about our nonprofit spotlight for tonight, the Coastal Conservation League? These people actually look out for and preserve all the main properties and waters surrounding Winyah Bay throughout the county. Please do your part and do the proper research. Please vote to defer. Thank you.
Joseph Baxter. Joseph Baxter.
Good evening, guys. I'm Joseph Baxter. I'm the owner of Baxter's Brewhouse in South Carolina's first bed and brew. We're right down the street. We sat down and I'm going to talk about changing the ordinance, or deferring it actually, I guess, for the boat ordinance this evening. We just sat and talked about, clean rivers brings people to town. We're talking about ATAX this evening, tourism. We wanted to talk about hop seaweed plantation. Brings people to town. Another thing that brings people to town are these larger tour boats. Carroll Campbell Marina is a great spot for these larger tour boats to depart from. There's over 200 parking spots that are over there. It's huge. It's completely underutilized, and it's a great spot, I believe, for bringing more people into town. Those people come into town, they spend money. Those taxes go, of course, to help keep Georgetown County beautiful. And we need all the tourists that we can get. So please make sure to try and, defer for the vote for tonight to amend that, to add larger tour boats at Carroll Campbell Marina. Thank you.
Teresa Brown Dozier.
Teresa Brown Dozier. I really didn't come to say anything, but I am going to say this. In the lower part of Georgetown County, we do need help for water being held up on the canal that is outreaching into people's home and things. So we need somebody to look out for the low country as well as the high. Thank you.
Dolores Perkins.
Good evening. I'm here about the canal. It is all grown up. The water can't get through. There's trees all in the canal. The water bank up in the yard. It comes up to the door. So that's what I'm concerned about.
Excuse me. 1 second, Mr. Chairman. I just want to find out what community she's from.
Vita Miller.
Where's she from?
Russ Hunt.
Chairman Morant and County Commissioners, my name is Russ Hunt. My home is 50 paces from the water treatment plant at Inlet Point South. I'm a former president and board member of Inlet Point South. In 2007, IPS quitclaim deeded this property to the peninsula for $5 so they could build a water plant to provide water to 33 lots. Because they are a barrier island, we basically helped create their existence. We went over backwards to help them. We looked at the water plant for 20 years. Now they want to devalue our homes by blocking our views, which is a violation of our covenants. This is fundamentally not right or equitable. It creates a hostile environment in the neighborhood. This should not be approved. There are 59 homes at Inlet Point South. 26 of these homes face the water treatment plant. 4 of 5 Inlet Point South board members live on the peninsula. These peninsula members stand to benefit financially with this transaction, a clear conflict of interest. These 26 homes have minority rights. This is supposed to be a democracy, not a dictatorship. This high-density community has 98 condominiums, 56 homes. Our beach to the inlet has the most beach walking pedestrian travel in Pawleys Island. We need more green space, not less. I would like to thank Mr. Raymond Newton and other board members for approving more time for mediation. Unfortunately, the peninsula backed out of an early agreed upon solution. Thank you very much, and thank you for what you do in Georgetown County.
Don DeBose.
Thank you for hearing me. It's not my first time, but down at Inlet Point South, where Mr. Hunt was talking about, I had the privilege of buying a lot there many, many years ago. And Joe Payne was the seller, Royce King and was the Litchfield company owner. So I look at the lot, I had a choice about any lot. And I asked that one specific question: is there anything that will ever be built on that green space? Now, I understand, they told me no. I understand the need for the water treatment plant, but we don't need houses there, and we appreciate y'all considering that. Thank you.
Ray Tanner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. I just want to share with you, more than probably 20 years ago at 222 Inlet Point, I vacationed there as a renter. A number of years ago, my wife and I had an opportunity to buy that home, and we did. The PUD clearly stated that there would be no obstructed views or anything built on that green space at the time, and no front views or back views would be affected. Otherwise, we probably would have never bought had we known there might be consternation or future construction. We were here for a second reading. This council asked us to get together with the peninsula and Inlet Point South and try to come up with a solution. We did that. And as Mr. Hunt stated at the last minute, the peninsula decided to not continue forward and brought us back here today. I was against it. I didn't think there should be a construction, but as a neighbor, as a friend, I said we will get together and we'll try to find a solution. We thought we were there, ended up not being there. I would ask you tonight to oppose this amendment. Certainly would change our neighborhood, devalue our property, and not be the place that we're so accustomed to for so many years. Appreciate the hard work that you guys put in.
Joey McHugh.
Good evening. I'm Joey McHugh, and I'm one of the owners of 224 Inlet Point. My mother and stepfather bought that property sometime around 98. My daughter, who was born in November of 97, took her first steps in that house. When my mother passed away, I inherited one unit and have since purchased a second unit. And I've done so because of the memories we had as a family growing up there and the people involved in that house and the community we have at that house. Part of, I wasn't an original owner. I didn't go and look at the documents when I inherited my share from my mom and when I bought my second. But when the peninsula, 33 owners of the peninsula tried to strong arm the council into allowing them to add 2 lots right across from our houses, then I started digging through the documents. A quick claim deed, and it's been 30-some years since I was in property class in law school, but a quick claim deed only conveys to the buyer or the people receiving it what the person giving it had. And the company that conveyed that quick claim deed, at the time they conveyed it in 2007, they had no development rights within Inlet Point South. By their own documents and by the documents approved by this council's predecessors, they had no development rights. Their development rights ended in 2005. So I asked the council to stick with the plan for the development that was originally agreed to by the developer, and the peninsula knew that's what they were getting, only what Litchfield could give them. So the comments made by my other homeowners, that y'all deny the request for rezoning by the peninsula. Christmas. Thank you, and have a great Christmas.
Wade Mullins.
Mr. Chair, members of the council, I'm involved in a home that is on the front, right in the center square area. This is the 26 homes, almost all of which are opposed. I think you're going to hear more about, or all are opposed, none are in support of. Let me take a minute just to try to address one issue that I believe that you guys have impacted your consideration of this, and I know it impacted the Planning Commission's consideration, and that is that both of these HOAs are in support of this amendment to the zoning. That is not correct, and let me tell you why. The Planning Commission and the council were led to believe that both HOAs were in support because there were two letters that were submitted as part of the package. I know that it was important to you all, and Chairwoman Mercado, in an email to the rest of the council in March 13th, stated that part of the package received included letters from both HOA presidents. Both are in support of 2 lots for the development. And that's based on a letter from Chris Lee, who is a Peninsula homeowner, by the way, but on Inlet Point South letterhead said that they were not opposed to it. That was in June of 2022. If in your packet that we presented to you on page 395 is a PowerPoint that same board submitted to all of the membership. The membership never heard anything about this. What the membership heard, if you turn to page 399 of your packet in the PowerPoint, is, on behalf of the board, we've evaluated the issue. We've concluded that it's possible that there are alternatives for the property. We're aware that there were property owners that will be negatively impacted. We are continuing to evaluate the options. That's this board represented to its membership. They are not in support. In fact, you've got letters in your packet from all of these members who say that they're opposed to it. I ask you, why should you approve this amendment? There's no reason for you to approve this amendment. What you need to do is to continue to stick with the PUD as approved and deny the application. Thank you.
Alec Tootin.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you once again for listening to me. I want to address you briefly about the boat landing incident or referendum that's coming up. I don't think it has come to completion yet. I still feel like we need to utilize Carroll Campbell for our larger tour boats to allow them to present to the world what we have here in Georgetown. We have an immaculate place, an unbelievable atmosphere to work and play in. And I have always been of the opinion that you love what you use what you enjoy, and you only protect that you enjoy and use. So if we are going to deny the people the right to see what we have in our bay, then we're going to lose the right for all of us to see and enjoy what is in our bay. So we need to make it where not only local people like me can take my little old dinghy and get out in the bay and enjoy it, but people who have no access for that. They come to town and they hear about a barrack island. We can actually go visit and see. And we can thank that to Tom Yawkey. Tom Yawkey was an admirable member of the Georgetown County Society at one time. His efforts live on. North Island, where these boats go, are part of what he left to Georgetown and the state of South Carolina. But if we don't have access to it, we can't use it. If we don't use it, we won't protect it. If we don't protect it and use it, then we don't love it. This is my home. I love it. I'm asking you to protect it tonight. Thank you.
Larissa Tootin.
Good evening.
here to speak about the ordinance to amend public boat landing regulations, especially to allow larger tourism vessels to use Carroll Ashmore Campbell Boat Landing. Like I said last meeting, Georgetown has more private land bordering its waterways than our surrounding counties. Additionally, Georgetown has more natural wetlands surrounding our waterways, which are protected, both of which we should be proud of, but both of which decrease the amount of dockage we are able to build or provide to the public, including our small business owners who run these fishing charters and tourism vessels. Due to this, we cannot base our ordinances on the ordinances of other counties. Instead, we should make decisions on how boat landings are used on a landing-by-landing basis, as some landings cannot handle additional traffic while some can. Educating the public is vital to protecting the environment, like my grandfather said. You can't protect something that nobody knows about, and it's as simple as that. So please defer this ordinance to the next meeting so we are able to come up with a solution that works for not only our citizens, but also the public that, or the tourists that want to come visit, that bring money into the county. Thank you.
Dan Stacy.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of council. I know we've got 2 minutes, so I'll be fast. This project's been approved by your planning commission for Inlet Point South. It's been approved by this body twice. At Councilman Newton's request, we did pause our efforts and met with a professional mediator in an attempt to resolve a mutually satisfactory solution. Contrary to what you've been presented tonight, my client with this didn't walk away. We had fundamental disagreements between the two parties about what could be worked out, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out. I don't want you to be distracted by conversations about quitclaim deeds and developer rights. This was a deed from the Litchfield Company conveying its ownership of the fee simple title to this piece of property at the peninsula. This request fully complies with your future land use maps. It fully complies with your current comprehensive plan for this area, and it will not increase any traffic in any measurable way that a professional would measure. It was approved by the Peninsula Board. It was not objected to by the Inlet Point South Board, by a duly elected board that was the prep board at the time. You've seen pictures in your packages. What you have now is an industrial water tank, a cinder block building, and a chain link fence that will be replaced by 2 homes. You have photos of it, and you can see what they look like. You have letters of support and letters of opposition. There was a discussion tonight about this as a democracy. Well, this community is also a democracy, and the majority of the people that live in Inlet Point South, that are members of the Inlet Point South regime as a whole, do not oppose this. Inlet Point currently the peninsula would like to build 2-family self or 2-family single-family homes. Currently, right now, this county derives about $50 a year in tax revenue off of this common space. By my rough estimation, this county would generate about $60,000 plus per year off of 2 single-family homes without consuming any additional services. The covenants don't prohibit this. The documents that are in place currently allow for this. We don't need to modify those covenants at the association, but I encourage this group to look at it from a land use standpoint, not an internal covenant fight between the peninsula and the Thank you.
Ryan McHugh.
Council, I'm Ryan McHugh. Thank you all for your time tonight. This is my 3rd time driving down for this meeting. I'm in direct opposition of allowing 2 single-family homes to be built in Inlet Point South. I think that as every homeowner in the neighborhood, both Inlet Point South and the peninsula could agree that you purchase a lot or a home or an interval in a home like myself in a place like that because of the protection that the original developer has put in place. When you go against that original plan, you undermine the original context of the development. And I think that while the peninsula individuals and homeowners are willing to amend it in this case because it's financially beneficial for them, given another circumstance, they would be in my shoes, along with everyone else who's come here multiple times to speak. None of the peninsula people have come to speak on their behalf, but we've all come in opposition because it's not the right thing to do. It's disingenuous to, you know, our ownership and the reasons we purchased real estate in this area. So I want to again say that I'm opposed to it. I hope that y'all can see why we are in opposition and why everyone that keeps coming is in opposition to that. And thank you again for your time.
Wesley Peel.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here, Mr. Chair, council members, Westfield, lawyer for some of these folks, Coach Tanner and some other ones. Been here before. I want to say I'm unaware of this fundamental difference. We thought we worked out a mediated agreement, got left, and if there's some fundamental agreement, my folks here tonight can sign. Got it on my computer. But anyway, I think what we should understand is this. All these homes that are affected by this, all these people have told you they don't want this. Has this council ever approved a change like this, an amendment to a PUD, where everybody that's affected by it is telling you they don't want it? You've got 19 letters in your file opposing it. You've got 3 in favor of it, and those 3 mention the money. These folks are telling me Peninsula says we're going to get $1.9 million for selling this. That works out to about $57,000 a homeowner, which they're going to use to defer their cost of re-nourishing their beach built on that sand spit. So, of course, those 3 members of Peninsula that voted for it, voted for the change and sent you that letter. This is the 3rd meeting we've had. We've had 8 owners come to each of your meetings. There have been 0 people from Peninsula here to talk to you. None. So these folks are completely, just expecting y'all for whatever reason to pass this through. And I don't know why that is. And I don't know why this is so important that this get done. It could be done the right way, a different way, and rezone it properly. I know y'all are going through new land use studies and rezone the whole area, and that way everybody affected gets a say and gets hearings. I will mention to you that this was designed with the idea that all these folks have views. In the restricted covenants, they mentioned you will not restrict views twice. So when these people go and buy these, they had expectations that they were going to have these views. So again, all these folks have let you know they're against it. Everybody affected by it. So please vote this down. Thank you very much.
Leah Brockington.
I'm Lee Brockington, and I represent Imagine Boat Tours, 6-passenger boat. I'm a historian and ecologist, and a licensed boat captain. Paul Kenny is my business partner. You've had a great deal to consider as you prepare to make this decision on the commercial use at public boat landings by tour boats, by fishing guides, by boat salesmen and oystermen. I urge you to continue to consider the value of education, of history and ecology, and yes, the contribution of the local economy for boat tour participants who eat and stay locally. I've seen it written that Georgetown County marinas may increase pontoon boat rentals to individuals, and while I think it's grand to be on the water, it's the point of boat tours, I think that boat renters, especially pontoon boat renters, receive instruction but will not receive boater safety education. Our tidal rivers, and especially our Winyah Bay, is tricky. They can be dangerous. Please consider carefully the amendment that would allow licensed and experienced boat captains to safely share our history and our ecology of Georgetown County. Thank you, each one.
Alex B.
When the ATAX meeting was almost over, a new member, Vanessa Green, and the only one of the 3 Black members who have been present at the previous ATAX meeting, started asking for a second round of evaluation, apparently having concerns or regrets about the procedure. But Chair Lauren Joseph and the discussers ruled it was too late to change until next year. Green also worried about the way that the balance at the end of the meeting went to chamber marketing, saying marketing is the most important. Green is also listed as chair board-elect of the chamber, which gets these TMO funds, maybe a conflict there. The members themselves have questions. What about the public? We didn't have the packet. Now, what exactly would Hopsawee repair in its slave cabin? Is it a bona fide cabin, architecturally correct replacement? How has it been replaced before? Is it private plantation for tourism, white-owned? We didn't have their plan. And the fire departments are like, if we don't get this, the folks will drown. But there have definitely been drownings before the fire ever has time to arrive. And where is the outreach to any black groups to apply for these grants? Apparently, workforce housing is also in the statute. Interesting. Of course, ATAX is small potatoes compared to $67 million for a jail. And why is the Murrells Inlet bike parking space not under tourism ATAX, for example? There's a place to park there, but it has no parking signs. So you can cut our time to 2 minutes, but who always gets to talk? Bunnell propaganda from a rich white woman who died 20-some years ago, still talking beyond the grave with her donations for things like birthright on the black side of town, telling girls don't get an abortion. We'll give you some booties and diapers from Precious Blood. That should cover 18 years. Add up all those little thousands donations from everybody who talked before all these meetings. It is a tiny drop compared to the jail, and even less than the courthouse broken air conditioners. Meanwhile, people were at the city meeting begging for help with their electric bills, which went way up. And I went to the Arts Commission. A white woman came way up to my face, and I said, "You're very close to be continued. What would Harriet Tubman do?" And there were no black poster winners. Thank you.
That's our final speaker.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let us. Let's move on. There are 8 matters on the consent agenda which have been approved by virtue of the agenda approval process. Contract number 21-020, change order number 3, Garden City Drainage Improvements, sites 2 through 7. Recommendation to approve change order number 3 with Greenwall Construction in the amount of $402,195.59. Contract number 20-001, change order number 5, Brick Chimney Road Improvement Project. To approve the change order number 5 with Coastal Asphalt, adding an additional $150,433.47 to this project, making the overall construction total today $5,446,742.53. Procurement number 23-002, Arizona Bike Path Parking Facility, approving a construction contract to Associates Roofing and Construction, Inc., doing business as ARC of Merrill's Inlet, SC, for the total base amount of $454,773,000. Procurement number 23-077, 2 staff vehicles for Midway Fire. Bid was awarded to Alderton Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram of High Point, North Carolina, utilizing the NCSA Cooperative Contract number 22-08-0913RR for the purchase of 2 2024 Dodge Durangos. And going down, procurement number 23-079, license plate reading camera systems. Entering into a new 5-year agreement with vendor Flock Safety to reduce the cost of the software from $3,000 a camera to $2,500 a camera annually. The entire contract agreement will be $300,000, paid at $60,000 annually over the next 5 years, and will start in fiscal year '25. Procurement number 23-082, upfit of 14 2023 police vehicles. Approving purchase orders to Tri-County Outfitters for a combined total of $200,460.05. Procurement number 23-083, procurement number 23-083, radios for Sheriff Office Fleet Vehicles. Approving purchase orders for Motorola Solutions for a combined total of $171,554.83. Procurement number 23-085, aerial ladder track for Georgetown County Fire. Approving a purchase order for Rosenbauer South Dakota LLC for a ladder track for a cost of $1,306,839,000. We move on down to our public hearings. Public hearing for ordinance number 23-39, an ordinance to amend the Georgetown County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 7, Buildings, Construction-Related Activities, Article 6, Impact Fees, to incorporate the Capital Improvement Plan and Development Impact Fee Study prepared by Titian Base and dated November 22nd, 2023, and update the associated impact fee amounts. The floor is now open for a public hearing regarding ordinance number 23-39.
So what the county is offering us is new taxes. You are lost and splossed. Sales taxes are regressive against low-income people buying things. This is what you're doing with the manager's 5-year golden contract, and your seats is making up new fees and taxes and tree fees and everything else. And you took the Georgetown Library out for like a year until April or whenever it opens. There's no Wi-Fi at the temporary library, and closed the gym and put boxes of books in it. Then you have these gyms with fancy rock walls no one is allowed to use that are off limits, and it says no dunking on the basketball hoops. The only black history that came in is from USC, Columbia, and Williams Pipeline sponsor, and they couldn't do it at the library because you closed it. But I love the Sampit Library, friends, that is black girl magic. This report is all about more fees, taxes, how big a jail you can build, and how much that you can charge. You want to pretend that you can charge more. If you count the tourists, it's really 86,000 people. That's a great trick. I don't know how they know that all these extra people are coming. Maybe the boomer seniors that came are here, and that's it. More people are not working than working, according to this report. It's all about paying some white people from DC to come in here and do a report like the mandated 10-year master plan that is having us put dots on pictures of houses and waste a bunch of time with consultants from Columbia, and then they deliver the results, and some of the planning people don't even show up. This report can make projections, but it's like a guess. So you have proved that you can get a big report. So where's the reparations report like California, DC, Asheville? To continue the Arts Commission, I went over there, and the woman said no pictures and videos, and that she's the chairman, and that they're discussing something confidential. And a second time, and I said city commissions are public as an executive session, to which Al Joseph told her that it was public. Apparently they were going through a report to give the state by last Friday for a historic area grant application. They adjourned and reopened the meeting to approve it, and I asked on the way out, and Al Joseph said that you can do a freedom of information request for the report with a fee like any citizen. In the meeting, Chairwoman Lumpkins said that there was an African-American boy, and others said that he was enjoying the Christmas tree lighting, trying to light up things, and that is what it is all about. And talking about Go Team, I was upset and went downstairs after this confrontation and watched the white band rehearsing, and they went into a full dress rehearsal. And I thought about telling them, but I didn't rush home to see the debate. I remembered also in the meeting there were 2 black women relatively quiet and a bunch of white people. The city will now have 1 black council member. So I'd like to ask, what is the county offering us besides these reports? And all you talk about is tree fees. You just let the sheriff on his own elected line go in with sole source bids. I watched a deputy U-turn in front of Georgetown court because someone had blue tint lights. So apparently they pull people over inside city limits and search the girl's car. Thank you. White silence and violence.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, Madison Cooper with the Coastal Carolinas Association of Realtors. Unfortunately, I was not here for second reading. I was out of town, but wanted to speak on this ordinance again. Certainly appreciate the phased-in approach. I think that will help on the commercial side of things. But we do remain concerned about the substantial increase on some of the commercial, for here is labeled non-residential. So retail, restaurants, schools, daycare, and lodging in particular. Substantial increases there. And as the chairman has noted previously, these are, in particular, retail and restaurants are uses that are much needed on the western side of the county. And I am concerned what these fees will do to those small businesses that want to open. So appreciate your consideration on that. Thank you.
Any further comments regarding ordinance number 23-39? Public comments, that is. Public hearing, I'm sorry. Okay. If there are no other comments regarding ordinance number 23-39, the public hearing regarding that particular ordinance is now closed. We move on down to public hearing regarding ordinance number 23-42 to amend the future land use map for a 5.13 acre parcel located at 999 Aviation Boulevard, further identified as TMS number 01-0447-00-00-00 from industrial to medium density residential. The floor is now open for the public hearing regarding ordinance number 23-42. Seeing that no one has approached the podium to speak regarding that particular ordinance, the public hearing regarding ordinance number 23-42 is now closed. We'll move on down to our public hearing regarding ordinance number 23-44 to authorize and approve an amended and restated agreement for the development of a joint industrial and business park by and between Georgetown County and Horry County with property located in Horry County, Ascot Valley Commerce Park, to require the payment of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes by businesses and industries located in the park, to apply zoning and other laws in the park, to provide for law enforcement jurisdiction in the park, and to provide for the jurisdiction of park revenues within the county. The floor is now open for the public hearing regarding ordinance number 23-44. Seeing that no one has approached the podium to make any public comments regarding ordinance number 23-44, the public hearing is now closed. We will move down to our third reading of ordinances. Ordinance number 23-06 to amend the Inlet Point Sub-Plan Development located along Inlet Point Drive and Norris Drive in Litchfield, TMS number 040149-003-00-00 to add two 10,000 square feet single-family lots on the site of the former water and sewer treatment facility. Ms. Richardson, our planning director.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Council. As you said, this is a request from the Peninsula at Inlet Point South to amend the Inlet Point South Plan Development in order to add two 10,000 square foot lots on the site of their former water treatment facility. This property is located along Inlet Point Drive and Norris Drive in Litchfield. This item has been deferred for quite some time. I'll just give you a few quick reminders about this issue since we had second reading. The applicant requested that the item be included back on this agenda for a third reading. The request is specifically for a .873 acre parcel to be amended in the PD. This, as we've said, is where the decommissioned water plant was, and their request is to change this to two single-family lots. Each lot will have approximately 10,953 square feet, which is in keeping with the neighboring parcels, and the remaining area is planned to be open space. The property is located in an AE14 flood zone. The structures will need to be elevated and meet the flood requirements. There is a water line easement on the property, which needs to be shown on any future plats. And the plan will need to comply with the Georgetown County Water and Sewer District extension requirements and with the county stormwater policy. And Midway Fire has reviewed the initial plan. Adequate fire service is available to the two lots. The future land use map for this parcel designates this area as medium density. The proposal complies with that. No change is needed to the future land use map. If the amendment is approved, then staff is proposing the following conditions. Final approvals from those entities that were mentioned. The setbacks for the new lots would be 20 in the front, 15 off the side, and 15 in the rear. That's in keeping with the setbacks for the majority of the lots in that area. And a subdivision plat would, of course, need to be reviewed and approved by planning staff. As a reminder, the Planning Commission held a public hearing on this issue back in February. Their recommendation is to approve the request, and that was with a vote of 4-2. And I'll be glad to try and address any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Any questions for Ms. Richardson from council?
I do.
Councilor Anderson.
First, I'd like to say that I'm very sorry that you all couldn't work this out among yourselves, and I hope it doesn't have a lot of hard feelings down the road between all the people that live over there on the peninsula. I'm very sorry for that. I'm going to get down in the weeds for a minute. I live in a gated community myself, and you won't be able to answer this question, young lady, but covenants. In these two planned developments, are the covenants very hard to change? Just out of curiosity, what kind of a vote do you need to change the covenants? And I'll explain why here in a minute.
You're correct, Mr. Answer. I'm not sure I can answer that question.
Well, I don't think you can. I'm hoping that somebody out there that's representing that one of the two groups can talk about the covenants for that area.
I think Councilor Anderson, if it's a legal question, you probably need to direct it to our legal counsel.
Pardon?
If it's a legal question, I think you would need to direct that to our legal counsel.
So, pardon? Jay, I don't think you can answer this question either. I was just wondering, where I am, I think it's, you got to have a 75% agreement to change covenants by all the people who live there. And the reason I asked that question is that I believe I read somewhere where they have covenants to in their HOA plan that they cannot construct anything that's going to block anybody else's view. Can anybody answer that question? Yes, sir.
Back in February, my recollection of this is that there is a supermajority. It can't just be the 33 self-serving peninsula people voting against the 26. This one will actually have to be a supermajority, and there are covenants that say you cannot restrict the view of their owners, and obviously my view will be restricted. Mr. Tanner's view, Mr. Hunt's view, it's directly across from their properties, and there are other homeowners as well. I can't name them all right now, but.
Okay, well, the only reason I asked that question is if we vote to make this change, when you find a buyer for those two properties, is that going to be a problem to where you may end up never being able to sell the properties because of this covenant that may or may not be able to be changed? And I'm getting in the weeds here, but I just was curious about that, and that's just my observation of what may happen when we do vote on this. And like I've told you all, the only reason you're here is because we've been asked to change the zoning. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Richardson? Let me ask Ms. Richardson, in the presentation of this particular request, did the planning department along with legal counsel do any type of research regarding restrictive covenants on these tracts of property, this tract of property?
No, sir. I have not read the covenants for either of the POAs, and it's my understanding it would not be the county's role to enforce those.
Right. But do you recall, either from yourself or legal counsel, that there are some covenants in there which restricted any building on this particular lot?
Not that I'm aware of. I think obviously there's some disagreement about that amongst the two parties.
Thank you. Any other questions or follow-up for Ms. Richardson? Thank you, Ms. Richardson.
Yes, sir.
You've heard the report from Ms. Richardson regarding ordinance number 23-06. Is there a motion pertaining to ordinance number 23-06?
So moved.
Councilor Mercado has moved for the approval of ordinance number 23-06. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Elliott. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? 4-3. Motion passes. We move on down to ordinance number 23-38. An ordinance to amend Chapter 6, Section 6-3 of the Georgetown County Code of Ordinances pertaining to public boat landing regulations. Councilor Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, the proposed ordinance has not changed since second reading. It would clarify a number of issues that were identified in our current boat landing ordinance, and recommend approval for it. I think we've had a good bit of discussion on it, consider many of the issues, and it's been through a number of drafts. I'll answer any questions if you have them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Watson. Any questions for Attorney Watson, please? Hearing none, is there a Motion pertaining to ordinance number 23-38.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment to the motion.
Yes, Councilor Newton.
I'm suggesting an amendment of 40-foot charter tourist vessels with a qualified captain and crew that are Coast Guard inspected and can carry up to 40 passengers shall be permitted to utilize the Carroll Ashmore Campbell Marine Complex.
There's been a motion made by Councilor Newton regarding an amendment to the initial motion. I need to make sure that Councilor has that motion, because the ordinance that need to be revised accordingly if it's approved. So Councilor Newton has proposed an amendment to the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Carolina. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if y'all would just bear with me just for a few minutes here. Let's go over a little bit of the history of how all this got started. And I'm not talking about the redoing of the ordinance, how we got started with the Carroll Campbell Marine Complex. It was, that was basically a vision by some local residents that was part of an organization called the Five Rivers Coalition. And this was many, many years ago. It was just a group of local residents that come together to protect the Winyah Bay and the five rivers that flow into Winyah Bay. And I was fortunate enough to be a member of that organization way back in the 90s. They basically wanted to protect and preserve the five rivers, including Winyah Bay, and ensure that the resources that will be protected and conserved for the benefit of the communities and as well as our local economy. The Carroll Campbell boat landing was a vision from the members of the Five Rivers Coalition. Many years of hard work, many years of hard work, lobbying local, state elected officials, that it took for this vision to finally become a reality of what you see today. It's almost 20 acres in size. It has over 200 car, truck, trailer parking spaces, 6 ramps, restroom facilities, and as well as an outdoor event. It's one of the nicest complexes we have in Georgetown County. We are fortunate to live and work and play in an area that has so many natural amenities. There are places most of you have never heard of, some in here that has spent many days on the water around Georgetown probably will. I'll just mention a few. There's a place called the Shell Banks. There's Muddy Bay. There's Pumpkin Seed Island. There's No Man's Friend. There's Jones Creek. There's North Inlet. There's North Island. There's the Jetty Rocks. There's Mother Norton. There's South Island. There's North Santee Inlet. There's South Santee Inlet. And there's a sunken Civil War boat out there called the Harvest Moon. Only a small percentage, probably in this room as well as the county, have ever seen most of these places. I've like Mr. Tootin and some of the other ones here, I've been fortunate in my life. I've been to every one of these places, and there's many more areas out there just like these that are just beautiful. They are all accessible through the Carroll Campbell Marine Complex boat landing. Having access to these places is one thing. The average local resident and visitor in Georgetown County does not have the knowledge, as you heard earlier, to navigate or the expertise to operate watercraft to visit these areas. And most of us that are lifelong residents here in Georgetown have a friend, a relative that has perished on Winyah Bay or in one of the five rivers. We all know someone. It's a very dangerous place, and it's one of the most unused resources we have in the county. It's beauty that's just hard to describe. You would have to take many photographs in order to paint a picture of what's out there because it's so diverse. The ordinance, the way it's written now, is a good ordinance. There's no doubt about it. And all those involved with it should be commended. But it does have one flaw that I see. And that flaw is it eliminates the above 30-foot vessels, which will be your larger charter boat vessels, to take people that otherwise will never get to experience any of those places I just listed. And the true beauty of Georgetown County, in my opinion, are not the houses or Front Street or the town clock or even this building or the plantation houses. The true beauty of Georgetown County lays east of here in Winyah Bay out to the coast. You can visit a lot of beaches in Georgetown County. You can visit Garden City, Litchfield, Polly's Island, Debidu. They all have one thing in common. When you walk down them, you look to the north, you look to the south, you see houses. You see many houses and you see many people. There's just lots of them. There's no way to get away from them. We also have beaches in Georgetown County that have no houses. Some of you might not know that. There are no man-made structures, just the natural beauty, the way God designed it. Until you experience walking down a beach and the only thing you can hear is the abundant wildlife and the only thing you can see are undeveloped beaches, it's almost like a religious experience. You have to go see it. Very few people have ever been on a beach that has been undeveloped, and we have them right here in Georgetown County. And it's sad to say, many of our local residents have never seen this except through a picture. So in my opinion, you haven't really experienced Georgetown County until you have seen most of these places that I've mentioned. And as a council, we must at least try to make this work for all our citizens and visitors. Currently, it does not do that. Now, if we amend this, as I recommend my colleagues to do, we at least try it. If we don't, that means we never even stepped up to the plate to take a swing. All I'm asking you to do, if we pass this now, and for whatever reason, it does not work, we can come back and change it. But we at least have to try to do the best thing for Georgetown County, for the residents, for the commercial people, and for our visitors. We must at least try. I encourage all of you to support this amendment. Like I say, if it does not work, we can come back and fix it. But it would be a shame for us to pass it in the present state and to eliminate a part, an industry that's part of our economy that we so desperately need. And in closing, I just encourage my colleagues to consider what I've said. And it's something that we can fix before we make a mistake. Because if we pass this ordinance in its present form, I do believe we're making a huge mistake.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Newton. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I've got a comment. Mr. Newton, I agree with 95% of what you said, sir, because I've been to these places. I've lived here 25 years, and I've had several boats, and I've been able to get around and see things a lot of people haven't seen that were born and raised here, and I understand that. But we are running a $100 million business here. So I have to take my responsibility as a businessman into this discussion also. So if you will, would you please read that amendment again?
40-foot charter tourist vessels with a qualified captain and crew that are Coast Guard inspected and can carry up to 40 passengers shall be permitted to utilize the Carroll Ashmore Campbell Marine Complex, and that is the only landing that they would be able to use.
Okay, and that's what I understand, and I thought that's what you were saying. Here's where I'm struggling with this. Right now, I think we've got two different vessels that qualify for that in the county. Would you agree with that?
Two different vessels?
Two different vessels of that size that are coming, that operate out of the lower Bay area. One of them is moored behind the museum, and the other one is someplace else. Agree with that? And here's where I'm struggling, is that as time passes, now you did say we can always come back and modify this ordinance, and we can do that. But I'm just concerned about having some kind of a limitation right now on vessels of that size, breadth, and also the number of people that they can hold. And if we could decide what that might be here, which I think is going to be difficult, I would like to defer your amendment, and I guess defer everything until we can figure out how we wrap our arms around this, given the scope of what we'd be doing to Carroll Campbell Marine Landing. Am I making sense to you?
Yeah, it's a legitimate concern, Bob. I do think if you go down there and just visit the landing, it's just a huge place.
Oh, I've been there many times.
And it can handle the traffic. It can handle way more traffic than we put through it now. And just on an average day or an average weekend. I understand your concerns. I think it could handle the 40-foot vessels with no problem, be it parking or launching or taking up.
I agree with that based on two vessels, but somewhere there's going to be a breaking point, and we don't know where that is. And I just think if we're going to modify this ordinance that hasn't been modified since 2008, something like that, I'd like to try to get it right. And this is I'm just struggling with this.
I think in the future, if, like you say, which we're growing and we're going to continue to grow, if it becomes a problem in the future, I think that's something this council will just have to readdress.
Well, I think if you're talking about it becoming a problem, I think this is the crux of why we were even looking at this thing at this point, was that we had one of these vessels that was asked to leave the city boat ramp, and they came to Carroll Campbell, and they said they couldn't be there either. So that's the crux of why we're revising this whole thing. And it sounds to me like, unless we can put a lid on what really caused the uproar in the beginning, we're not doing our job.
I'll get clarification. Councilman?
Mr. Carolina.
Number one, the commercial operation simply wants to utilize that location to pick up their clients, not to moor their boat.
I understand that.
They moor further upriver at Hidden Harbor. And however they handle their marketing to set appointments up for pickup, that's strictly how the Carroll boat landing would be utilized. You have the ramp that comes down to the water edge. They will be picking up and discharging their passengers at that point and moving on. All that Councilman has mentioned, it's an opportunity with the business situation to allow this size boat, all the qualifications for Coast Guard pilots and so forth. And if it becomes an issue or problem, we could come back and adjust it. So I'm in favor of looking into this to enhance the tourism, the eco-water tourism that this county offers. And it's an opportunity to expand a further area of tourism for Georgetown County.
And I understand, Everett, and you're speaking again about 2 vessels. My concern is if we pass this within next year, what are we going to be facing? So what I'm asking is, would you fellows be interested in putting some kind of a cap on this in the short term, like 4 vessels of that size could be permitted based on this ordinance, or 5 vessels, or just to wrap our arms around it?
Let's refer that question to council. I'm not sure you could do something like that. I see what Councilman Anderson is going after, but I'm not sure you can legally, is that viable?
Mr. Newton, I see a number of issues with what's being proposed. Probably issues that go beyond the scope of discussing them here, probably better in executive session. But I think it would be difficult to draft this ordinance with this kind of provision without opening up a number of issues that the council would need to seriously consider before they go down that road. That may not be exactly answering your question, but I think that's one issue that's been raised, and there's a number of others that come to mind, if I'm being real honest with you, sir.
Couldn't we motion on this particular ordinance and then make an amendment to it in the future once we do the research on what you're suggesting?
I would rather defer the whole thing instead of doing that.
So are you withdrawing your amended motion to make a motion for a deferral?
Unless if there's a motion to defer, I would withdraw my motion.
I think, Councilor. Yeah. I think Councilor Anderson made a motion to defer, but there was not a second on it. I think you would have to, and Councilor, you can assist me with that. I think you have to withdraw your motion at this particular point. You can make a motion to defer yourself.
Okay. Can I ask one question real quick?
Sure.
Is there anything in the amendment or the revised ordinance that holds the county legally not responsible for anything that happens at the landings?
That holds a legally not responsible?
If we grant this and allow a 40-foot vessel to load and unload and use that facility, and a barge comes by and sucks that pontoon boat under the water and somebody dies, can they sue us?
Well, the answer to the question of can they sue us is always yes. I don't care what the scenario is. The answer to that question is yes. You know, whether it's a good suit, a valid suit, survive, who knows? But to get to the question of liability, one of the things that I think if the council wants to do this, let me back up just a minute. Remember, we didn't grant or approve anything in this new ordinance for commercial. What we did was it was simply an exception for something that's been going on up in Merle's Inlet for years. And what I heard from a number of council is that, well, we don't want to cut that off. But the existing ordinance right now does not allow commercial activity, loading and unloading. So this actually would be doing something new if you were to do this. And I think that the council would have to seriously consider that if it does this, that anyone making use of that facility for these purposes would need to sign some kind of a waiver and also an indemnity agreement for the county to get to your question, because yes, there could be some liability issues that arise for the county. And
That would be all commercial boats, would that not be? Can you just handpick certain commercial boats?
No, I mean, I think if you're, but the thing with Carroll Campbell, and again, we're getting a little beyond the scope here, but you've got more issues as in simply launching a vessel, putting in and out as you do at most of the boat landings. That's what we really were addressing before. Now you're talking about people coming down the dockways, getting on, going off, boats leaving out, a number of other boating activities, fishermen coming and going. There's a lot of activity in addition to. So it just creates a number of scenarios that I think you'll have some unintended consequences.
What about the possibility of requiring those commercial boaters to carry some type of liability coverage, a minimum amount to help offset some of the probable liabilities?
Right, and those are some of the issues that I said I think we're getting beyond the scope of discussion now. Certainly, we would probably need to look at this much more deeply and maybe have some executive session for legal counsel and instruction on some of it, because all of these issues that the questions you're asking are all appropriate and need some serious consideration.
Okay, Councilor Newton, do you wish to withdraw your motion and make a motion to defer?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll withdraw my amendment and make a motion to defer.
Okay. We have a motion from Councilor Newton to defer for deferment on ordinance number 23-38. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Carolina. Any further discussion regarding the motion to defer? All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Ordinance number 23-38 is deferred. We will move on down to ordinance number 23-39. An ordinance to amend Georgetown County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 7, Building, Construction, Related Activities, Article 6, Impact Fees, to incorporate the Capital Improvement Plan and Development Impact Fee Study prepared by Tisler Bates and dated November 22nd, 2023, and update the associated impact fee amounts. Ms. Richardson.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This is our update and revision to the impact fee ordinance that we've been discussing for quite some time. Since second reading, there have been some minor changes to the ordinance for clarity and ease of use. The definition section has been moved up front, and some of the sections have been reworded, like I said, for clarity. We did tweak the definition of the CIP to give us some flexibility. You'll see there that it basically refers to categories that are listed in the study. And we added the effective date of July 1st, 2024. As a reminder, the proposed ordinance does include a phased-in approach of 75%, then 85%, and then 100%. As we've discussed previously, the Planning Commission did recommend approval for both the study and the ordinance with the phased-in approach. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Any questions from council for Ms. Richardson? Hearing none, is there a motion regarding ordinance number 23-39?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Elliott for approval of ordinance number 23-39. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Anderson. Is there a motion to amend to incorporate the revision proposed by the planning staff?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Elliott. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Mercado. We will first call for the vote on the, we first call for a vote on the amended motion. Any discussion pertaining to it? All those in favor of the amended motion, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries. We now go down back to the main motion with the amendment. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries. We move down to second reading of ordinances. Ordinance number 23-42 to amend the future land use map for a 5.13 acre parcel located at 999 Aviation Boulevard, further identified as TMS number 010447-00-00-00, from industrial to medium density residential. Ms. Richardson.
Yes, sir. Since items 9A and 9B refer to the same parcel, I'll go over both of those together. This request is from Mr. Tompkins to rezone one parcel. That's about 5.13 acres. And the request is to go from limited industrial to 10,000 square foot residential, or MR10. As you said, this property is located at 999 Aviation Boulevard. It's currently a vacant tract, and the applicant's request is in order to allow for a mobile home to be placed on his property. Property contains a pond and about 1.17 acres of wetlands. The surrounding zoning for this tract includes limited industrial to the north, south, and west, and MR10 zoning to the east. The airport is located just southwest of the tract, and due to the proximity of the airport, we did contact Mr. Taylor at the airport regarding the proposed residential use being so close to the airport. This property is located in what they refer to as Area D, which is a compatible, in which single-family housing is a compatible land use. This section did have some height restrictions, so in that regard, we felt that actually the single-family zoning would be more appropriate than an adjacent industrial use that could exceed the 35-foot height limit. MR10 zoning does allow for single-family homes, which also includes mobile homes on 10,000 square foot lots. The current limited industrial zoning does not allow for single-family dwellings. This property is not located in a flood zone, and the future land use map designates the property for industrial, as well as the surrounding LI zoned and MR10 zoned property. So the future land use map would need to be amended to support this request. Staff does not consider this request to be spot zoning due to the adjacent MR10 zoning and to the large size of the tract. We did receive both a call and a letter from a neighboring property owner. Business there is Georgetown Fireworks. Their concern was that they have a fireworks magazine located on their property, and there is a distance restriction from a fireworks magazine to a residential dwelling. He wanted to be sure that that was adhered to and that he wouldn't have any issues with his business that is already in place there. We visited the site and have determined that that 300-foot separation can be complied with, and that's something we'll be sure gets enforced through our building department in the permitting process. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on this issue back in October and recommended 5-0 for approval to the zoning change, as well as 5-0 approval for the future land use map change from industrial to medium density residential. Any questions?
I have a question.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Councilor Anderson.
Talking about stormwater, do you foresee any issues with that? If we got industrial property there and we're going to convert it to residential, so the impervious area is going to be impacted there. Do you have any idea what the elevation of that area is at 5 acres? And if you don't, you don't. I know that's an off-the-wall question, but again, it's related to stormwater.
I do not, at this time, it's my understanding the applicant's request is only to add one mobile home to the 5-acre tract. So I think that's significantly less impervious than it would be if that were developed industrially. If he did look to subdivide the tract, which he could at 5 acres, then it would need to go before stormwater for a full stormwater review.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for Ms. Richardson? Regarding ordinance number 23-42 and ordinance number 23-43? No? Okay. Is there a motion regarding ordinance number 23-42?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend the future land use ordinance 23-42 from industrial to medium density residential.
We have a motion from Councilor Carolina for approval of ordinance number 23-42. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries. We are going down to ordinance number 23-43. Is there a motion regarding ordinance number 23-43?
So moved.
Councilor Carolina is moving for approval of ordinance number 23-43. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries. We're going down to ordinance number 23-44 to authorize and approve an amended and restated agreement for the development of a joint industrial and business park by and between Georgetown County and Horry County with property located in Horry County, Ascot Valley Commerce Park, to require the payment of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes by businesses and industries located in the park, to apply zoning and other laws in the park, to provide for law enforcement jurisdiction in the park, and to provide for the jurisdiction of park revenues within the county. Attorney Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this multi-county industrial park currently exists, Ascot Valley Commerce Park as it's known. This simply is to amend and restate the agreement with Horry County. And I believe that part of the amendment is to enlarge the area that's within the multi-county park. It's going to be a little bigger park. Georgetown County does get revenue from this, a shared revenue agreement with Horry County. I'll answer any other questions if you have them.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Attorney Watson. Any questions for Attorney Watson regarding ordinance number 23-44? Hearing none, is there a motion regarding ordinance number 23-44?
So moved.
Moved for approval by Councilor Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Mercado. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries. We're going down to our first reading of ordinances, which will be read into the record by title only. Ordinance number 23-45, an ordinance to amend the Pavilion Square Flexible Design District, a parcel located on the southwest corner of Highway 17 and Pettigrew Drive in Paulers Island, identified as TMS number 04-0161-016-00-00 to allow for a larger retail store. We move down to approval of minutes from our November 14, 2023 meeting. Is there a motion for adoption of those minutes?
Move for adoption.
It's moved.
November 14th minutes.
It's been moved by Councilor Johnson for approval of those minutes of November, adoption of those minutes of November 14, 2023. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Elliott. Any discussion? All in favor for adoption, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries. I see we have on our agenda, we will go into executive session for a legal briefing regarding economic development matters pursuant to SC Code annotated section 30-4-70A5. Is there a motion to move into executive session to discuss those issues?
So
moved by Councilor Elliott. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Mercado. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries. We are now entering into executive session. Okay, we have returned from executive session. Is there a motion to go back into open session?
So moved.
Moved by Council Elliott. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Council Mercado. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. We are now back in open session. Please note that we have returned from executive session to discuss matters regarding economic development pursuant to SC Code annotated section 30-4-70A5. And please note also that no votes were taken while we were in executive session. Is there any further business come before?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make a motion to rescind the previous resolution 23-24, a resolution approving and authorizing the creation of a commission pursuant to South Carolina Code 4-10-300. We appreciate highly those that have been chosen and wish to serve on the Capital Commission. But my constituents from District 3 in the Township of Andrews are screaming, what about our representation? I'm requesting a reevaluation of the process to find a representative for Andrews, Districts 3 and 5.
Trying to, I guess procedurally, it's not an agenda item, and I'm trying to think how we can bring that matter on an item that was not published as an agenda item. It's a new matter, and maybe council can help me out on that one. I'm not certain.
Does it have to be a new business?
No. I have no problem with it. I'm just trying to see procedurally whether it can be considered at this particular meeting when it's not an agenda item, whether you can bring something that has not been published to the public.
I heard the motion, you were moving to rescind prior action taken by council. So that action was, it was brought before council. It was motion, seconded, discussed, voted on. So now that is action of council. I don't think you can just undo it by a mere motion to rescind. Plus, it involved other municipalities or governmental agencies which have also taken action pursuant to that action of council. So off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you what's the proper procedure, but I think it's going to be a lot more difficult to unwind than a mere motion.
It being a resolution versus an ordinance?
Let's see, yes, it was a resolution before, correct. So it's going to, under the, the Equal Dignities Doctrine, it would have to go through that same kind of procedure to undo it.
So what would be the procedure for us to take a vote on rescinding that resolution due
You
to
need
the
to put it
fact
back
that?
on as an agenda item. Yes.
So you're saying we cannot vote on that tonight?
I don't think it would be proper, no, sir. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think it'd be proper, no, sir. Particularly given that it, as I said, it was something that was put on as an agenda item. It was discussed, voted on as a resolution in a public meeting, and other governmental agencies have acted in reliance upon that. To now suddenly try to do it without any prior notice as a last item at the end of a meeting under the adjournment section, I think would be inappropriate. Yes, sir.
So I would like to formally request now that this item be put on the next agenda. If we're not allowed to vote on it tonight.
Let me ask a question, and because I think there's some timing in here. I think once you approve an ordinance, isn't there a?
It wasn't an ordinance, it was a resolution.
Whatever. Isn't there a clock on that it's got to be in effect for a while before you can change it? I'm not sure. I'm just asking.
There is parliamentary procedure to where Councilman Carolina, and I think I'm correct on this, can bring up at the very next meeting from the previous meeting to have it voted on. And
I think it would be a motion for reconsideration. Did we vote on this
it's
at the
a
last
motion
meeting?
for reconsideration.
Yeah, but that would have to be brought up after the meeting, after the one that it was approved on. One of the person who voted in favor of it has to bring it up for reconsideration.
That is correct. It has to be the next, so I think we had a meeting in between. So I stand corrected, but it is a motion to reconsider.
Yeah, so I think we're past that stage, I think. Okay. Any further business coming before council this evening on agenda items? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilor McCarthy to adjourn. Is there a second?
So moved.
Second by Councilor Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. We stand adjourned.